Kad držiš onda
Se
da.
vidi.
A da.
Ok. Dobro. Meni neki dan nije radilo.
Makni se.
Gdje moramo Kena pokupiti?
Pa evo idem na 5, nemam pojma, 1, evo, 5-1.
Ja se samo
Kane,
nadam.
kako ćeš sada kad imaš 5 vrsta medipena?
Nemam pojma. Ne znam još kako to funkcionira. Ali za brzi PvP ovo je jako loše, na primjer, što je trenutno u igri. Evo sad kad smo morali mijenjati tamo municiju kad nas je na Eru zajebavao nikako promijeniti. Ili onaj Herkules. O, tu je neki Sentinel.
To je moj.
To je tvoj.
Mm.
Ali ja tebe ne vidim u partiju. Zašto samo visi tako?
A YouTube, Twitch, da...
Kako misliš visi?
Pa ako vidiš moj stream, ja ga vidim kako stoji na koso iznad peda, nemam pojma, lebdi samo.
Pojma ne.
Kak sam
Čekaj,
ostao bez... Kak sam ostao bez 2 oružja, za ova preostala 2 imam duplo više municije.
Ozbiljno?
Da.
Ovo zanimljivo je. Evo ovaj Sentinel stoji tu.
Da, to kako taj Sentinel stoji, misli on misli Vanguard i znaju tako tako meni nisu, on misli Harbinger.
Nekim drogom.
Redovno kad ga spomnam on dignut
Jesi to
stoji.
ti dole, Olene?
Bog ti koja glupost.
To si ti ispod broda.
Otvori mu samo rampu i trebao bi se spustiti on dole sam nekako.
Ma nemam ništa
Ako
od njega.
skinu-
Pa idemo svi s Omegom, evo, na.
Ja idem od sebe.
Ajde, tvori iza. Češ se ići popraviti?
Ma dobro, evo šta je super ovo.
Nema, to na kontom radi, to ne bi.
Ken, pazi na vrata.
Evo, idem na ova bočna.
Tu ćeš poginut sad, buš vidio.
Neću. Evo, on je pao, ali ja sam okej. Di možemo sjest?
Na krevet.
Imaš iz ove lijepe krevete.
Zašto ne mogu sjest na ovo sjedalo iza tebe? Omega.
Ne znam. Možda zato što neko sjedi tu.
Ne, a evo, sad mogu. Okej. Kako je pregleda, ne? Znači, svi smo unutra, a?
Da.
Zašto mi ne da rutu? Šta je sad bilo? A, tamo, okej.
O, bro, prednje lijevo krilo, nema desni zadnji motor, nema.
Nije meni sve. Ja vidim sve. Kuda je čita, kuda mu ništa nije.
Da, Omega, šta ti vidiš?
Bitno da mu
Da
landing
bi
gear
pali motor i krilo pred njim.
To i ja vidim isto. Sad ideš u
landing gear mu je
tvoj.
doma isto. To ja vidim. Da, evo sad je gore. Sad se digao landing gear.
Ali ja ne vidim da pucam ništa. Panter, 0-0.
Ugasi i
Evo, ja na primjer u trećem licu nemam zvukova.
to je bug na turetima sad, ako ti to dođe samo ga ugasi i upali opet.
Možda prvi za jest.
Desni ti je motor oštećen i prednja 2 krila. Ali malo, ne, mislim da malo crvene
Malo,
izlazi.
pola.
Ali vizualno meni nema ništa. Ja
Aha,
vidim.
vizualno, aha.
To jest vizualno ne postoji desni motor. Nema vatre uopće, nema ništa unutra.
Ovo je bilo jako zanimljivo malo prije na Jumptownu. Kako nas je isprcao onaj.
A kojiš, može lik sletit 500 metara od nas, minim mrake, niti ne znamo da je tamo.
Ajmo onda testirat Daymara ako je bolji,
Može.
pa ćemo ići tamo umjesto na Jumptown. Jer ovo sa zvukom, ovo je sranje žešće. Jebote, 2 broda su nam bila tamo i nismo skužili.
Čekaj, hoćemo ići prvo nabit Kremsted.
Ajmo prvo vidjeti gdje možemo se zbuksati.
Da.
Ali nemamo tamo neki veliki izbor planeta, znači ostaje nam samo Daymar, jel
Evo.
cijeli isto nema atmosferu.
Ja, ne, samo Demar. Šta fali? Demaru ima puno kamenja i to za sakricu.
Pa ništa, ali moramo zvukove vidjeti. Trenutno ja nemam nikakvih zvukova.
Ni ja. Ali u kontaktu smo ajde.
Ja mislim to samo do mog akaunta.
I možemo tamo, ima onih malih stanica, ono kao kućice samo. Možemo se tamo negdje zbuksat. Nema ni zone, nema ničega.
Ma najbolje bi bilo u špilju da hoće neko doći, tu smo uvijek u prednosti, jel?
Ja ne volim te spilje. Ne znam.
Jer tamo on kad dođe dole, on njega panika počne, ne može samo tako izaći, pobjeći. Tamo riješimo i sve na brzaka.
A dobro, ajmo prvo...
Jer
Neće ljudi htjeti ići u špilju.
nećemo ni gasi satelit kad idemo u špilju. Odmah nek nas vidi, nek zna gdje smo.
Da, bitno da ga mi čujemo. To je najbitnije.
Da.
To je jedini način gdje ti nije bitno je li ima satelit ili nema. Znači on mora doći u tu špilju, nemam pojma ni kako to tamo izgleda, ni gdje smo mi. On vidi otprilike, znači gdje si, ali ti se tamo možeš sakriti za kamenja gdje te on brodom neće pogoditi, a onda mi drugi ga možemo gađati. Ne vidi on sve, on uvijek vidi samo jednog.
Da.
Nabijemo na brzaka, znam ja doći do te špilje.
Sleti na 5.
Šta?
A na PO da ode, da sleti da imamo spawn.
Ako idem na Demar, ajde šta se...
Ne, pa da je sletina, moramo i Crimestead nabiti, nemamo Crimestead.
Ali prvo da vidimo da li uopće ima zvuka, da li nam se tu isplati kojiš.
Ja, ali sad sam rekao, ako ćemo u špilju, onda je svejedno. Evo, sad se čuje.
Sad se čuje zvuk, da.
Ja ništa, idi sleti na Šubin ili Arkor da popravim.
Znači nešto bez veze.
Što nije danas sta Citizen live? Mislim petak je, to bude petkom, jel?
Ne pratim to.
A nešto trebalo biti tema vezana za 3.15, ja mislim na to.
Još kratko samo, me zvukovi zanimaju. Treba sam već ići. Sad čujem zvuk, sad ima zvuk.
Ali imaš zvuka zato što si u brodu.
Ko to puca non stop? Malo, na?
Jesu ovo kamenje sve za majna?
Da.
Kako se dobro postaviti čovječe?
Vidi ovdje iskre u brodu, gori sve živo, lampice. Sve se dimi.
Evo neka trava ovdje, neka trava ima na zemlji.
Bravo, da. Ui. Opa, ujebate.
Ajde, Sivan.
Ajde, muzikaj. Gle ovo neke divlje biljke.
Ne čujem ga baš.
Ja
Čekaj,
ga čujem.
pa Frox je... Pa Frox je ostao u brodu. Ajmo tu stat. Tu ćemo stati, čekaj. Niš, prođe, ajde sad.
Evo stavit
A
ću.
da je, sad je neka i oluja ovdje. Sad je oluja, jebote, ja čujem cijelo vrijeme vjetar.
Čujem ja isto, da. Još
Neću.
ništa? Ne. Čujem. Lijevo uho, desno uho.
Okej, dovoljno čujemo za špilju, jel i onak će morat tu tamo usporit.
O, sad smo te jako čuo kad si preletio.
Ma ja, još nam ovdje smeta nam i oluja.
Okej, znači možemo to, okej. Hoćete pješačiti do mene ili...
Ja, sam
Da.
dole, tu. Kane, koliko imaš FPS-a sad?
Tu, 38, 39, 40. Ti?
34.
Kakav je plan za dalje?
Gle ovoga ovdje. Ovaj spava, ovaj će znači završiti u zatvoru, ne znam ni zašto je za tamo. Proxy na ovom prozoru svoj. Idi na PO, popravi se i čim se popraviš, naćemo žrtve i napit crime stat i onda idemo za špilj.
Može.
Neko će ubiti Proxija. Ajde. Jebi ga, spreman sam tu žrtvu napraviti.
Da dobiš kremstat, da. Možemo svi da imamo... Može ovaj Kane uzet Reda i
ne,
samo
Kane ode. Kane ode.
Da. Mogu ja uzet Reda.
Pa evo Polande, idemo ovo riješiti, da brzaka. Ne da mi se, ne planiram ni ja sad još 2 sata tu. Ovo, da mi je baš samo da se zabavimo za to kad uđu ljudi u špilu. Što je do sad bilo, eto, ulazili smo.
Ja ću morat ići off.
Pa da je onda izađi samo na PU.
Aha, šta smo blizu?
Da, sad ćemo. I Omega će se popraviti i onda idemo.
Ok, može.
Šta je ovo?
Ima tu brodova par.
Cutlass Red, jaja, taman, super.
Proxy spava.
Proxy spava cijelo vrijeme tu. Sad kažem, Proxy će poginit, neće znati ni šta je, on će u snu umret. Što ovdje sjeba, bog te zna.
Jel imamo i mi spawn point ako smo kod njega sletimo, jesmo?
Pa ja sad moramo samo... Ovak.
Good.
Evo mene, jesmo stigli.
Dobro jutro, evo.
Jutro.
Vrat se u brod, idemo, sad ćemo opet...
Šta, kuda?
Sad ćemo napraviti crime stat i onda... Idi na suvozačevo svjetlo i uživaj. Ko je Omega, kojeg ćemo prvo?
Što imamo tu?
Nekog bez štitova. Ovo je Cutlass Red. Aurora. Ajde, jel ima neko na petu da nema? Ajde. What the fuck jebote, 2 rakete, znači i riješi ga. Skočit će taj red. Čovjek vidi da pored njega samo neko nesta. Jebote, kako pukneš 4 odjednom, ja to i ne znam više.
G stisneš.
G?
Da.
Sa G namjestiš koliko ćeš ih? 4 je maksimalno.
Pobježe on nama. Kako je on brži od Blue jebote?
Zato što se vozimo 500 km/h. Idem prema nama. I još su mu motori dolje spušteni.
Nemoj zezat.
Da.
A, to je jadni neki početnik.
Jadnik.
Isuse, sad kad ga ove pogodim.
Profula
Kako su loše te rakete.
Idem za njim. Sad je bacio čaf, si vidio?
Da.
A nije mi popravilo motor, spor sam.
Evo, te si se zaletio na njega, znači kad si vidio da će nas proletiti, trebao si davno već usporiti i početi se kretati. Eto opet, znači uspori, on će sad razvijati.
Port polisac će nas ovdje razvalit. Tureti, vidiš na tureti.
Tureti te gađaju.
Ja ga ne mogu.
PO te gađa sa svim šta ima.
A dobri smo, štitovi nam ništa. Ne mogu ga gađati sa 4 km, niš nikad tamo. Jedno na Aurora. Niš ga se, ne vjerujem da što majke sa 4. Drugo je na Aurora, jebote, lik spavao ko Froxiju. Imam Kremte 2.
Bravo, bravo, roka.
Izvan dometa.
Gas, afterburner.
Ispred tebe, ajde. Motore ima gore, budala.
Ja, zato Omega, uspori ti samo čoveče, nemoj se više
Da.
ubrzavati tako.
Malo uspori.
To nije ono Demar, jes Demar.
Ne vidim gdje je.
Lijevo, eto. Čekaj.
Nije to da ima.
Jes na
Tamo.
Demar je skočio 1.000.000%.
Ono je selin ispod Crusadera.
Tu skočio
Znači,
sigurno.
evo vamo gdje ja pucam, evo vamo.
Okej, idem za njim, okej. Evo ga,
Ajno.
tu je.
Ključi ono svoje.
Gdje sam?
Dobro se ovo vidi.
A daleko, 7 km, okej. Puni ponovo.
Evo, blizu si mu. Nećemo skočit.
Nisam dovoljno blizu.
Skočio je.
Nisam dovoljno blizu bio, da.
Ajde ugasta. Nebitno, idi na PO pa ćemo rešetati sve što je.
Mislim da je išao i on na PO.
Di je to jebote?
Ma, on je skočio na jelu, vjerojatno.
Ništa, moram ići večeru i to, pa dođemo ovo kasno ako bude, tako ne,
Nice.
drugi put. Ajde, sretno. Bog.
Nema ovdje nikoga.
Ja.
Ima
Ali imam.
brod. Ima brod, evo ga. Red, evo ga.
To je taj Nesrećković. To je opet taj isti red. Evo te, on izgleda ko da je čitav, ko da mu ništa se nije desilo.
Has anyone who's been following the show for at least the second?
Ko to? Proxy, ja mislim da si ti.
Da.
Čujem čovječe, gdje li je? Uspori, nemojte. Ne.
All right, so
To, ostani.
Ode ova,
tako.
Ujoj, ej. Još malo.
Omega dole.
Gore ti je sad.
Svemiru gore i dole.
Ne mogu palit quantum damper ovdje. Preblizu smo
and of
stanice.
course we put up a thread earlier in the week and started collecting questions on the spectrum and let people vote on which ones they wanted to see added most.
Dole ti je.
This happens every single all about. So I'm going to point out.
Skočio je na ravno, Demar i
Hey,
tamo mu
but
uključi
this
odmah.
is an Alpha 315. How is this going to be an Alpha 316 and 317 and 318? That's the question. That's the question.
Lovci na lovci.
We're going to try to keep.
Ovo je sad zadnji put da je pobjegao.
Misliš, to je isti?
O, tu je isti taj, ja.
Isti,
Rich. Let's start with the big.
Ja mislim i ča, ali mi je ovo sad zanimljivo, moram vidjeti do kraja što se odvija.
Nema ga tu.
I can already look in the chat. I can already see this question
Nema ga.
coming in here. What solutions?
No,
have you
pa tamo
come
je
up with,
okrenio se bio kad je
to
skočio. What the
mitigate
fuck?
the
To gasio se
roving overdose.
Ja, okej, onda ja. Može biti. Pametan.
Are you muted? You're not muted on my end. Did you forget to charge your thing?
Ništa, ajde, jel si vidio šta je na Portolisu? A ne, bio je on sam.
It wasn't
Bio
me, it was
NPC,
him.
neki sam vidio tamo.
Ajde, NPC.
So, if you've played the next
Jel imam već Crime Stage 3, ali ti imaš isto, to je to.
Imam.
Aj možda ga nabijemo na 4, bit će sad neki
of
video.
the multi-tool tracked beam and the medical gun,
Nema mi
the
Portolisa.
dedicated medical gun,
Yeah.
and the
No, ni med-
other
Evo ga.
medkits.
Učitava ga, ali tek dio, ne vidim di je, neću juriti jer će me...
Ima neki stari lifter, jel možemo mi to umjeti?
Ispod tebe, Olisar, ja ga vidim. Nećeš ga udariti.
Neš.
Ne, star liftera ne možemo riješiti.
We sat down and discussed this. Myself,
moramo naći,
Todd, Tony,
NPC.
Chris.
Ok,
how we
imam
wanted to
misiju za
handle it
NPC, evo
for
sad ćemo
315
to riješiti.
going forward. Obviously,
Ne.
the
Pa,
ultimate
eto tu
goal
nešto
is
plavo, dole.
to have greens and burns be,
Ispod nas.
you know, that you can get anything
Circulacija.
out, not arbitrarily.
Ne, bilo je nešto drugo,
Doing
vidio
those
sam ja.
things, and then there are mechanisms in place where that is AI yards.
Spor mi je brod kad mi je jedan inč mi ne radi. Evo ga.
Because of where we were at with 315,
Cutlass Black, eno ga desno.
solution right now was
Je
to
na
have
pedviju.
the status
Na pedu
quo,
je desno.
which was as it is in
Desno
314,
ped.
as
Jel
it has
vidiš
been
Omega?
for a long time,
Vidim,
it's just prevent
Ajde.
essentially interaction in the green
Na koliko
zone.
da gađam?
No, broj,
The main reason
dva je.
behind this, because
Možeš
most of it is
u
that
cek-
you do suffer injury in a green
Bravo.
zone, and you regenerate that hospital, you don't lose your gear.
A, skoro. Još je živ.
You know, because essentially
Ode!
that
Ode!
simulate
Bravo.
that AI security saw you and then came out and rescued you and then took you back to hospital. So even
Iza
though
nas
you
je brod.
regenerate in a
Evo neki
medical
Alexis.
when you
Alexis,
go to the
Alex
all
Strikes.
of your equipment
Jel vidiš?
you're wearing.
Vidim, a star lifter.
So we felt that for 315 the safest
Zašto je on crven?
option was to do that.
Ne znam, zato što je valjda
We
pucao po
did
nama.
discuss for 315 the potential ability to just go, hey, well maybe get wet.
Dobro. Baš mi bježimo od njega.
Zato što nas možeš dva pogotka ubiti.
Star lifter.
Da.
Ide za vama neki brod.
Star liftera ne možemo ubiti. Barem mislim ja.
Nešto toga.
Potentially we could have gone down that road, but for now,
Jedno da se zabiješ u njega.
for 315,
A i onda bi se mi unižili. Njemu ništa ne bude.
but we will be looking into the future about how to more elegantly solve it.
A ništa je da ga malo gađamo, samo možda mi se poraste na 4.
Cargo boxes. Although I did read one guy was like, oh, I can't
Evo okreće se.
send hot dogs and I screams to people in the landing zone by trying to be anymore. But so I'm sorry for that person, but yeah, we do want.
I a da vidite tek ovaj, taj M2 nije ništa naspram onog A2.
To make sure that I understand.
Onaj A2, ono je
So
pokretni,
the intention for right now, for
All-Star.
315 for the immediate future is in the same as
Koliko tu
314.
ima tureta, čovječe.
It is to disable the
Izvan dometa je,
disable
da ti kažete.
the minigun, so it's inside green zones.
Ljudi, ja moram offline, uživajte,
Ajde.
bilo je zabavno. Čujemo
A
se.
ništa, idi ovaj u špilju. Idi tam negdje.
A će biti, hoćemo riješiti koji NPC. Ima misije za NPC-ve. Da dignemo barem na 2 četvorke.
Ajde.
And then if you die inside a green zone, you don't lose your material, just in case you. We got a question coming up later about the various falls and stuff like that can occur. So if you do die inside a green zone, you don't lose your stuff. Like technical light bones and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hold my mic. It's like, yeah. They look like Bob Barker on The Price is Right. That is actually better. Yeah,
Dobro,
so we're
možda
gonna
ovaj
see-
razglasi da pokušavamo ubiti.
Okay. I took a week off.
Evo padem u
So,
neku.
so the next question was actually, were we supposed to be preemptively administrating any overdose drugs to ourselves in green zones to combat the current assault we're experiencing? Yes, the answer to that. No,
Although I did like that kid and said to save off, but no, that's not essential.
And there's some prices
Jasno,
right,
tu.
prices right now.
Da, to je to. Evo, 30 km.
Let's switch over to inventory for a little bit. Is the inventory system going to allow members in the same party to share items that are stored within a ship, or will that come with a later updated party unit system? Stuff like that?
Well, essentially, going forward, we still have the placeholder solution of local inventory, so we didn't want to put loads of engineering time into a placeholder solution, which
To je
is the
misija
local
način na
inventory,
koji
which is
zbog
this
kojeg ćemo dobiti
temporary
transfer.
packet holding. So the
Yeah.
answer is, going forward, absolutely yes, we want board members, other players to be able to access inventories and share.
Ali ja neću dobiti tako veći.
Implementation of local inventory, the answer is no. So that is on a per person player
Yes.
inventory. So if I go onto a ship, you're on, and it's your ship, Jared. I
Stavi se, nemoj se
ship
želiti.
inventory, my ship inventory, but ship inventory, your
Ma
ship
ne radi mi jedan motor, teško mi
Local
upravljati.
inventory, as I said, not why I see it. I see it a lot.
Evo,
for
kilometar i 600
local
brže.
inventory is a placeholder solution until we have true physical inventory, which will be lockers, compartments, weapon racks, cargo hold, so on and so forth. And that will be accessible by
Just getting a lot of game
Evo, Crimson 4.
development.
Ajmo.
Well, sometimes using the channel.
Hoće ti voziti za tamo, pošto ja ne znam gdje je to.
so we don't know previous information.
Ale,
Može.
Luckily, we
Evo
have a
ga.
very helpful community and stuff, especially with the guide program that's out there now. Currently, we can't transport ship
Evo ga.
components via the new physical inventory system. So outfitting each ship with higher grade shields and quantum drives tends to be a very painful process. Why is this?
The short answer, and I'll give a long answer to give at least some expositions. The short answer is because inventory is larger than just one pillar or one team, and to have all of that aspect to the ship side, which is kind of all like physicalized cargo, things like that, we weren't able to deliver it all at once. So that's the short answer. The long answer is that there is going to be an intention that we move away, like the PMA, to
Jel, bome ako ne bude, ako je mrak, onda neću.
that we'll be moving away from the VMA towards more like a hangar management app.
Jer
And that hangar management app then allows
baš te
you to
oznake
manage
neću prepoznati.
all of your items and gear
Te
within
orijentire svoje.
at the hangar, and including that's where you then go and go, I want to take my computer out to storage and put it to a ship, and
No, okay.
essentially do that. So essentially they're two kind of separate systems into vehicle management, player management, person management, and essentially there is a grey area in between where this is the pitfalls of working on a live game, that not everything always lines up to just amount of raw. And this is one of those cases where, okay, in the short term it might be a painful process, but it's moving us closer to the final goal of where we want to be. And that's the case with a lot of the systems that we add live. Sometimes people go, well, why have they done X, Y, Z?
jel Proxy još tu
That's
ili je
worse
otišao?
than we had, and then they realise,
Tu sam ja.
that's because
Okay.
that's the groundwork for this next piece of functionality that allows us to move forward. So in the case of ships and personal inventory, we have to remove global inventory, which is where everything was stored. So in global inventory, all of your items were stored, all of your weapons, all of your ship weapons, and we had to move everything into local inventory. If we had to do that step, that's created that friction. But the intention is, you will be able to do that or eventually, or in the future. But for now, yes, that's something we don't unfortunately have to accept.
Znači sad može neko biti, možemo čekat i u brodu, jer uvijek možemo brzo van izaći, tako?
We'll be covering the hangar app as we get closer to its release.
Može, ja.
As with all things, there will be a list of things that we want it to do, and then there will be what it can actually do in the T0.
Jel vidjet ćemo kad će neko dolaziti kućiti.
That will also be not on my pillar, so I will.
Yeah, it's USB. It's USB, so we're gonna let them cover it when it comes out. So, also, questions about like Polaris and stuff, or ships and stuff like that. I want to direct people again to the public roadmap. The public roadmap is your best source of information for when a ship is going to arrive. If you don't, look at the release view, and if you don't, the release view is usually about half a year to a year. If you don't see the ship on the release view, there's not going to be much information to share about that just yet. That's ready to share just so Suji from so the hangar app is one of those new apps that we're going to get. In the Critical Team, we just got knickknacks. In regards to knickknacks, what happens to items that get stolen by another player? Does it still show up on the original player's app, or does it get moved to the new player's list?
So it gets moved to the new players list. So there will be obviously probably edge cases, and there's a difference between in terms of ownership. But the premise is that if I drop a gun and you pick up that gun, that gun's then moved to your index app, and you can then track it. But there will be further rules around that in the future that we can see of whether you've stolen that, whether I can mark it as stolen. So we've talked a lot about that in terms of moving that forward. But for now, it is the simple matter of you pick that gun up, that gets yours.
That's a good.
Kako su to kocke po planeti?
Almost every subscriber has.
Ja ne vidim ništa.
As far as death and
To
looting
ti je tvoj
goes,
shader,
now
možeš
with
izbrisati
players,
onaj user folder.
what happens with looting subscriber items, or even just pledged gear? People have pledged for, this trophy or the old Citizen contest or whatnot. What happens when those subscriber items are looted? Do the players lose this forever? Do players have them forever?
So specifically for 315, if you die or if you go into a down state and somebody loses those items or your ship blows up, you get back to those items. You will not have access to those items anymore, whether the new player has stolen them or whether they get vaporized. So you will lose them in 315. They are not removed from your account. So when 316 comes around and we re-entitle all the items, you will be re-entitled all those items. So that's the short term, what will happen in 315. The intention long term is that we have a mechanism in the game that allows you to kind of associate
Dalje momci od ovoga ne ide.
as a player inside the game with those items. And if those items are then stolen or taken or whatever, you can then look at the mechanism for you to be able to get those back. Now, I don't think it will be a simple matter of just an insurance claim where you just put the insurance claim and you get it back, because there's lots of, first off, real life insurance is incredibly complex, so to mirror something like that, and lots of people do insurance fraud, so it's like I die and I claim my insurance back and then I just go and loot my body and I'm duplicating items. So we might have a system where it's like that item's associated by me, I've registered that item if I've got a special weapon or whatever, and then if that person gets picked up by security or it comes into the hands of the law, then it's given back to you, similar to my car got stolen and the police found my car and it's still drivable and usable, then it will be returned to me. So there will be mechanisms inside the game that will allow you to potentially there's still lots of questions that we need to resolve on our end. But just to be clear, for 315, some of the subscriber items that player will take them, but they will not remove from your account. So in 316,
Yeah, I think it's important. I know you just reiterated it. I'm going to reiterate it again because it's that important here. While we're in alpha, while we're in alpha, you're not at risk of losing your items. those things are still on your account. They're still on your pledge. You log into the website and you see the items, attributed to your account. They're still yours. You still have them. It's a question of access to them. And currently in the 315 branch, if they're taken off, you will lose access to them for the 315 branch until we have this other system in place. So until 316 and all of them are reattributed to the account. So the loss is temporary at the moment, but long term, vision out for Star Citizen and whatnot, those things that you've pledged for are safe at the moment. Yeah. So let's see. Another death and looting question while we're on the topic. Currently in 315 BTU, finding your body after dying is nearly impossible. Will there be a marker to find your body or the cargo of your ship if you explode?
We are trying to add it, so it's something that's been on the list for us to add.
Dođeš tu sa rokom, samo pokupiš.
Quite complex, so there's been lots of bugs that we've been going through. The engineering
Vidiš, ovaj stup, ovo je dobro za krice, ovdje ima jedan isto veliki kamen.
It is something that we want to do to try and help. It's basically the gravestone. Obviously, your body is still there, so if you do remember when you did die, then you should be able to go back and retrieve it. But we're trying to add a marker.
Testirat nešto.
I imagine we also, because everything is supposed to be diegetic and reverse or something, it's like some kind of black box or something to track. As far as the law,
it will more than likely be some kind of, in terms of the law, like some kind of mission marker that is associated with the law, and it's just kind of able to pick it up. But yes, it's something that we do want to add.
Why does falling downstairs or getting knocked over by the wind kill us so often instead of leading to a down state?
Na vrhu broda sam, jel možeš vidjeti?
So, interestingly,
Ti si na vrhu broda.
the reason why we don't is because you take massive amounts
Šta
of
mi ne možeš
physics.
izaći s toga tureta?
It's the same
Nemo,
ground,
nisam uopće niti u
it's the
turetu,
same
što je najbolje.
controls. And the way that the down state works, and I think I described this in one of the ICs,
Yes.
is that if you take more damage than your entire health
Jesi
bar,
turet je gore,
essentially
podigne.
times 2,
Ne, moram se ubiti
you
nemam
go
drugog rješenja.
straight to death. So essentially, if you get shot with an Idris railgun, you're dead. There's no, I managed to survive for a little bit, so you can rescue me. It's like, no, you go straight to jail. You die straight away. Whereas if you only take a certain amount of damage, you go to damage. So in the case
Adolf,
here,
palaću se na
you're taking
Gridexu pa ću doći.
you're falling down the stairs.
Ne da mi niti da se ubijem.
It's generally
Izaću
because
u meni
something's
kad ću
gone
onda
wrong.
probati.
You've taken
Ne, čekaj, pa mi ćemo te ubiti.
physics damage because you've
Proxy.
dissected something.
Već sam izašao.
You see games, no games like it, I don't know.
Možda me vrati na dobro mjesto ako uđem ponovo.
Ajde, prođe
It's
nešto.
because there's been, a physics
Prođe,
collision.
spavno.
Taking 1 point of damage 1,000 times in a second.
Exactly, and that's basically what's happened. So there's these collisions that happen. Basically, I think I saw one that's like it's like 80,000 damages. You basically just get instantly hit. So that's why.
So it's to the external viewer, it looks like the wind just knocked you over and you suddenly die, and it's like, thanks, wind. But what's actually happening is the physics is causing you to impact the ground so many times,
Yes.
whatever surface you've hit.
It's just it's whether the player gets desynchronized or something, or these are complex problems to solve. Generally it's lots of different ones, but we'll eventually get them.
And as far as solutions to that, like I said, that's just the generic work that's ongoing with the physics system.
Absolutely, yes.
It's not one specific fix. It's just as the physics system continues to evolve and continues to develop, those outliers will be, hopefully be addressed in a way. I remember a story right around the time when I started here. People were flying a Hornet around in free fly in an arena. Nobody else there, nothing like that. And after some amount of time, the Hornet would explode. They're like, it just explode. I mean, it was was never consistent. Sometimes you'd survive 9 minutes, sometimes it'd only be 4 minutes. And it's like, well, why are people exploding? And they found out that it was because there was the flashlight that was equipped to the player character at that time was colliding with the Hornet. And depending on your maneuvers, it would keep hitting the Hornet and going one damage, one damage, one damage, one damage, one damage, one damage. So the flashlight that was attached to the player character was slowly destroying the Hornet.
Well, it's the same when people were walking into, like, you lower the ramp down, and then you get into the ship, and it blows.
Da dođem sa redom.
It was the ramp colliding the floor.
Right.
Causing loads of damage. Yeah.
Ma jok.
Let's see, we're still on death let's stay there. How are CIG planning on managing random deaths now that there are consequences, such as falling through the map randomly, getting stuck inside a chair, lift, etc. All the times we have no choice but to reset or backspace out. Loss of items due to just randomly exploding mid-quantum, stuff like that. The list of random deaths was very...
I suppose, yes. I mean, I suppose this comes back to, you know, a live game in development. We've obviously, I'll touch on this later, but we've obviously put in the server reset crash recovery, the server crash recovery to allow us to reset. Obviously, client crashes are more varied in their manner because lots of different things can happen. Or, for example, just the random deaths where you just walk up the stairs and you get fall to the floor or whatever. Fundamentally, we need to track them down. We need to, we need to fix them. But if we prevented releasing features to the live game because of existing bugs, we'd never be able to release anything. No, exactly. So we need to kind of push them live to see how they all interact with each other. Trolleys, for example, you know, we uncovered quite a few issues with trolleys. We ended up fixing a lot of the times where the ramp would destroy the ship around because of trolleys, because people were like squashing trolleys and opening ramps into trolleys. So it's just one of those cases where, you know, we need to get feedback on them, we need to highlight them, and then we need to make time to fix them and go through. But there's just so many of them. So, but you know, we can't slow down the development and trying to get these integrated systems in there because we need to get feedback on those systems as well. So it's you know, if we don't release the features, we wouldn't be able to test them. But it is what it is.
Heavy Bob in the chat says, maybe not release it till you fix the bugs. It's a good chance to remind folks that every tier Star Citizen Alpha is a testing environment. It's you know, you've got the Evocati at the base, the testing environment. Then you've got the PGU, testing environment. But even when we release it, it's still Star Citizen Alpha, which is still a testing environment. So it is all for testing. The whole pyramid there, or the whole ladder. So
the other thing to understand, I think, is that imagine I can click my fingers and went to 0 bugs, right? So I just did that, right? 0 bugs, that's it. With 3 months development of 500-man dev team, adding new stuff, we generate loads more bugs. Because that's, you know, generally, I remember hearing somebody say game development is basically working on a broken game.
Nemamo ovaj party marker.
Until the end, where you fix
Ti moramo M6, a?
But then the game comes out and we start adding more stuff, right? So for us, we've still got fundamental systems.
Ne znam, valjda.
Da.
Touch a lot of systems. So even if we fixed all the current bugs, we'd still generate.
Pozovite me u partiju, sam izašao sam van.
And that's why we're trying to get all the features in there until we can get to be like where we go, okay, we're content complete from a feature perspective. Now let's close that out, polish it, 1.0, and then go from there. You know, do a full release. But until that is, that's the nature of live releases.
Neko je stavio Quantum Beacon na Daymaru, jeste to vi ili?
Ja, 2 milijuna.
Grabi dok se nudi.
Ne ti, čovječe, to je da znači vide drugi.
It's still Star Citizen Alpha. It's still a test environment. It's why we have the wonderful issue council. It's like that, so folks can still help us identify these things and repro these things and help us to determine the actual cause of these things.
Kad se zabijem u
Just like the wind knocking you over and you die,
Koliko ima?
you go, oh, the wind just killed me.
7 milijuna.
But it's actually not the wind, it's the thing that it knocked you into.
And we get a lot of good feedback on the features that we can react to and make help.
Napiši mu vi...
You mentioned server crash recovery, so let's hit that. What is server crash recovery for those who don't know? I know this is a bit outside your wheelhouse, but you're the one who's here today. So, what is server crash recovery, and why does it matter for 315?
So, in a nutshell, if the server goes down, previously when you log back on, you would have to request your ship to come back. These are terminals, and essentially you'd be given a brand new ship. It wouldn't be the ship that you're currently flying around with. So anything that you had on there, like cargo, would be gone. So with server crash recovery, what happens is essentially we
To sve ovisi od servera, kakvi su likovi tu.
And essentially if the server then goes down, when you request your ship, when you log back on, it will actually be the ship that was recorded at the previous heartbeat. So you would actually get the ship back, and probably in 99% of the cases, it would be the ship that you would just fly. So it would have all your cargo in it, and fundamentally as well, it would also have all of your ship inventory. So if you've put all of armor and things into the ship inventory, you will retain that.
Imam dva beacona, evo, sam stavio.
That if the server does go down, and you log back
Involved spoon, evo dvojica, vidim vamo dolazi, vidim ovaj je do 200 km.
Ali kak da ja uđem u pećinu, di je
A
ruka?
drugi na 32. Kako da uđeš? Pa u partiju si sad, pozvao sam.
Ti da se parkiram.
Parkirao sam. Jel čuješ? Jesi čuo Proxy? Proxy?
Šta?
Ajde, tu je!
To sam ja, ha?
Jebite. Ja nemam marker tvoj. Ravno, tamo ga parkiraj.
Yeah, exactly. It's
quick save.
Yeah.
You have the more quick save. You're not going quick saves.
Exactly. So there
Čekaj, ali
will
još
be
neko tu.
occasions where
Onog sam vidio malo
you
prije.
die between the heartbeats, like if you just got 70k
Why did you
cargo
cancel?
between the heartbeats and then you die, that 70k is going to be.
Jel ti vidiš tu neko? Jel ima još neki broj?
It will be important when it comes online, and it's already kind of working on PT right now, as it goes forward to recognize whether it was broken, like, oh, I didn't get my stuff back. No, it could still be working, you just might have lost your thing between the heartbeats and stuff. So it'll be an interesting
Jebote, kako misliš?
To be clear,
Nisam ja cancelovao svoj.
placeholder solution.
Beacons. Jesi ti prihvatio možda onih 6 miliona?
Full persistence threats that the machine comes online, which will remove this altogether. But at least this is a really good stopgap while we have.
Ajde uđite pa si napravite spawn point za svaki slučaj.
A brate, ti sad isto kokej, znači, pitam te da li si ti prihvatio neki beacon moj, jel?
Nisam ja nikakav beacon prihvatio. Nisam te čuo sad, jel su mi se slušalice ispraznili pa sam morao bateriju zabiti.
The solution that the team is actually working towards much better than this temporary solution. Just some more general questions before we jump back into the healing stuff. What kind of changes happen to planets?
Ja vidim neki Coco Space Universe.
To the weather and the surface of multiple planets and moons.
Na koliko?
Ama daleko budale, znači 32 milijuna.
So essentially there's been some tech changes in the background.
Zaboravio sam motorom ugasiti.
Changes in the
Proxy, ajde uđi i napravi ovaj spawn point.
Jesam već.
Okay.
Are missing some of the elements, but the art team are working feverishly to try and get some of that.
Yeah, if you watched some of the SCLs where we talk about the procedural application of binaries and stuff, it's just as the tech grows, some of the configurations change and stuff like that. Doing things like you don't want to constantly go back while
Jesi isključio motor?
Jesam, da.
changing the same
Još
number
ja ih i dalje vidim.
So when the
Ugasio
tech
sam ih
gets to
100%.
another kind
Pa
of
nećeš ih.
threshold,
Ali di si ti, ja te ne vidim.
there it goes, all right, now it's time to go back and make sure all those other things that kind of lost their way.
Ni ja tebe ne vidim, evo te, evo ovdje su. Nemam tvoj marker.
Solid ground has a distribution of all the assets, so things like
Svjetlo si ostavio upaljeno, jel?
and obviously we have buildings that are placed to fit to the height map that's been generated. So essentially, any time where there's been some slight changes in the technology, such as when we did, the different variants of the
To su ona lažna svjetla.
terrain, essentially it slightly changes that height map, and that just creates that cascading effect for the switch of the artists to go back in and do a bit of jiggly breakery to get back to the status quo.
Let's
So
jump
this is
back.
brilliant. So far, I've had
Sad je
mic
pao mrak
on
odjedan
back
put,
foot,
ne znam zašto.
then mic fell off headset, and somebody went right.
Zato što je pao mrak.
At this point, I've assumed that since this is your last SEO role, that you're just trouble. Let's jump back into healing and injury. What are your current takeaways from the initial PTU testing of healing and injury so far? I mean, we talked a little bit about the things you have changed from green zone, but overall, so far you've been on PTU for a week. What's been your takeaways so far?
Kako se
Biggest
čuje jeka.
takeaway is that people have been generally happy with the features that have gone live. I think going back all from Evocati to now, if I look at inventory, I think when inventory went live, it was fairly rough. We had some really big issues with the timing,
Proxy.
performance. With like, I think I saw
Aha.
like 89.
Imaš ti kaj para?
It was scaling.
Imam.
I think Icons was not
2
scaling.
milje.
Ti bacit beacon.
So we're making like 1080.
Možeš.
It's fine. And then somebody was going to 4K, and the icon was going like 5 times the size. And we get no, it wasn't small; it was going huge. So people were playing on high resolutions, which you'd expect people to have decent PCs who are playing Evocati. They were like, I can only see one icon, and then I'm scrolling for hours and hours because they've got lots of subscribe, and it's like, what's this? And so I think we had some significant bugs that really had a large detriment on the experience. We also had quite a lot of quality of life that was kind of missing that we were still adding, and based on the feedback from everyone that we did add. I think the version that went in yesterday, I think since Evocati we've added sorting, we added filter categories, we should be adding instant filters so you don't have to apply.
Wolf Spoon. Da vidimo.
We've added sorting, let's say sorting.
Jo, to je onaj lik što... kaj je on uzeo?
Involved Spoon na 350 km. Od
Ok,
nas.
to je onaj lik.
U katlu sred.
Da.
So we've added a lot of improvements in quality of life between now and then. We've also
Kontam svaki 3 metka bit će dovoljno.
the biggest priority ones would have like items. So they're like super basic, right? We don't have any of these. So I think inventory, is starting to get to where we want it to be.
Reci samo kad je na 10 km da se znamo pripremiti.
We still want
Ok.
to do lots of improvements.
Ok.
So in terms of the progress there, and I think I've seen some feedback threads now where people start giving us feedback. It's great.
Ili ide i dalje prema nama.
Digesting that, taking it out for improvements. I think for healing, is I think
Pa po ovoj kilometraži
some people don't like beams.
ne bi rekao.
That's everybody's preference.
Kao da se
Some people
udaljava.
preference it. I think that has gone down well. I think we've seen lots of people being really engaged with the healing and medical gameplay in terms of different
zvoni
drugs,
mobitel,
the
samo.
romancing of those drugs and injuries. Obviously, medical beacons are going live as well. So we've seen quite a lot of usage in that, so that's good to see. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing both of these go into the live environment to see how they play out in a more natural environment. Because obviously, people are jumping on there to try and test the features, which what we need. It'll be interesting to see how they percolate to just general play over a period of time. Because it's kind of like when we released Active Status 0, they take a long time to really get a sense of
Ja imam
how
još
the
5
player
minuta,
base
valja će neko
plays
doći.
at scale. But I mean, overall, I think the feedback has been fairly positive across the two features. We're not finished. Still got a long way to go, but yeah, it's been good.
Staying on healing thing.
Ko približava ili niko?
I don't get to play very much, but if you-
Ništa još s moje strane.
spent the picture.
Ma neće ovaj doći.
Right now, he's like, sure, he broke his
Čini
leg.
se
It's
da
pretty
ne.
much a death sentence. What
Čini se da ne, oni na 390 km, ovaj involved spoon.
I think for 315 it's not
Rekao, ovaj spoon je na 400 km sad.
which is unfortunate. The one thing is that we will eventually add a medical facilities.
Ne znam on skočiti izgleda.
As we do, you can see now, for example, where we've linked the space station to the landing zone. There's not all landing zones are hospital. We've had to basically create a few stopgap solutions for us to solve those problems. But the goal is to add medical facilities in all locations you would
Evo,
expect.
bacio sam ja za 500.000 biko.
The prison should be one as well. So for now, it's unfortunate, but it is something that we are discussing. And we will
Lord.
see if we can get something
Vasa,
fixed.
ali se udaljava.
Swoop into inventory here again. In 315, all armor, guns, etc.
Imaš
go into
kremce
ship
4, jel?
storage.
Ovo je stao moj.
But gun racks
se
are
okrenuti,
handled
sad će
separately and
krenuti
armor
ovdje.
cupboards aren't used. Why is that?
That's the next step of personal inventory. So this is personal inventory T0. Personal inventory T1 is the removal of local inventory so that it becomes physicalized inventory, and that's where lockers and gun racks and armor cupboards will be used properly. And then those armor
približava
cupboards
se
will
ovaj.
be used to save loadouts.
Ne, udaljava
So
se.
you'll be able to say, okay, this is
Približava
the
se.
exploration suit, this is the ammo and armor, plus ammo and
Prikazuje ovo točno. Udaljava se i približava se isto vremena.
elements that I want on this suit, and you'll be able to save that in a physical locker, and you'll be able to interact with that locker and quickly put that on. So that's the next iteration of personal inventory.
Currently, if you wish to loot armor or weapons, you essentially need to drop what you already have equipped, walk to your ship, strip, and walk back naked to loot more or get your old gear. Will there be tweaks made to fit armor or weaponry into backpacks?
So the goal of the inventory right now is to make sure that it's a believable system in terms of the actual volume and items that you can fit within that space. So for example, if you've got 120 litre backpack, the description I always give is that, and I think I've said this on one of our shows before, is that I can't fit the snooker cue in there because it's so long. But if
Put
I
on a
go
beer.
for a wood chipper, I would be able to fit the volume. So we take into account the IG dimensions and the volume. The intention right now is that you can either body drag those enemies back to your ship, or you can tractor beam. I'm not sure many people have been using the tractor beam, but you can actually tractor beam dead bodies. You can tractor beam a dead body.
Ova ide moj prema ovdje. Ali 42 milijuna kilometara dalje.
We do want to offer other abilities down
okay.
the line, other features that are around that, whether that's hover trolley or whatever that you can take out and then load up and then take it. It's the old Ultra Online tackles. But yeah, that's the a further iteration on to the iteration.
Vraćamo...
Zašto niko ovo moje ne
I
radi
think
prihvaća?
I think what a lot of folks are probably going to realize that they get a set of armor legs. Sure, not going to be able to fit in whatever, but a pair of pants can be folded conceivably.
Well, actually, that's actually a bug. So this is something that's happened. I spoke to the guys. We've actually done a full pass now. We should be going
Roxy,
in.
kakva je situacija s tvojim?
Saw an update on it. Essentially,
Još uvijek
it's
nisam
like
isto.
cloth or clothes. Even though you see a large icon, it should have a very low micro SCU value. So an undersuit should easily fit in a backpack. I know it doesn't right now, but that was a bug. There's something going wrong with the size of this. So if you've got a backpack and you've got clothes or anything that you think should be able to fold, that should fit in, and we will be making that fit in for 315.
Očeče, meni iz nekog razloga pare nestale, a ništa vam nije eskort neki se desio.
Mislim da ti on rezervira pare.
I'm imagining a fully 100 game render. Absolutely.
Da, vjerojatno. Tako i meni isto.
T1.
Nubifire and everybody who's doing a recap thing, mention that without the context, just like, yeah, there was some talk about a folding minigame, and just leave it at that, to really just confuse the hell out of people who don't watch the video. Starting locations.
Koji
In
usrani
315,
server.
we now have all the starting locations.
Ovo je moj isto.
A lot of folks
Recimo
have
da
been
mora
requesting
letiti ručno.
the Grimhex be added. as
Ma
a
u
starting
chatu sa nekim priča samo.
A ne, ali sad tebe spomenuo, evo ga, Proxy. For some reason, I can't calibrate to big.
Unfortunately,
Ček, ne vidim,
all of the
čitam baš.
facilities that all the other starting locations have. So we'll obviously when we take into account new players,
Ne znam, ne more procenit valjda.
to make sure that
Vjerojatno jer izgledamo ko da smo u planeti.
vehicle can access to your ship
Nah.
and so on and so forth. So it's not to say that we won't have being access starting location in the future. For 315, it won't be a starting
Omega,
location, but it is something that we are actively discussing.
mislim da ćemo morati uništiti tvoj brod, inače će se on upaničarit kad vidi kontakt.
You know, all your
Može,
girls
ajmo.
out there, we do want to do a solid.
Spremno?
It's,
Yeah,
you'll
I
have
think
to
there,
until you go.
yeah, I think there also needs to be
Kakav je
consideration for
to bio hitac.
the beginning player experience. For the first time third player of Star Citizen who doesn't know is Grimhex the place you want to start that journey, with the experience that you had before. So that's a big factor in the conversation.
Brate, mi ne možemo
There's
uništiti
always
ovo.
more considerations than you think about. There's lots of
Okay.
different laws that you take about.
Ali to je bilo bez...
But yeah, like I said, it's definitely on the table. We're discussing it, but I doubt we'll be adding it as a starting location.
New fire in addition to the ironing, closing, and folding minigame.
Evo gore nešto.
Svjetlo vidim.
Proxy.
Transfers, locator transfers. With the changes coming to the
Neki mali brodić.
and you lose items that you had, it's great for looting gameplay. But how do we prevent players from logging out and reconnecting to avoid losing items?
Sakri se, još neka dol dođe.
What we want to do is essentially with the ships, so it logs out, camp facilities around, stuff like that.
Ok, sad. Može. 3, 4.
This is the eternal remote.
Yeah, so that's what we want to do. That you access for a certain amount of time. To exploit the system. We're looking into that. essentially.
So even if you load out, so just like
Utajte ga.
even if you ninja block off
nisam
the
stigao.
or whatever, your player character is still there for a period of time.
Yeah, because right now, if you just ninja log, then you can escape, and that's not the intention. You know, that's people exploiting the system. So we are looking into a way of doing that. Whether it makes 315 or not, it's bugs and other factors.
Kak se ovaj zove lik? Involved Spoon.
Horizon security is currently unarmed, which means that they can't deal with players who have a crime step. Will Horizon eventually get armed security? Yeah, you can put it on silent. That doesn't happen.
It is on silent, so I don't know why it's ringing. It's weird. But
Take it. Boy.
they will.
Ovo je moj na 150 i nešto kilometara, sad približava se.
Yes, I think they're fixing it. So they're looking into it now to handle weapons onto the security guards.
So Horizon not having weapons.
Ida's calling me now.
Who's?
Ida's calling me.
So Horizon not having
Crime step 3.
wasn't intentional. Yes, for the folks who just saw the pop up there, I'm going to Disney World for my holiday vacation, and I have to book my Cinderella's Royal Table dinner today. So, important leaked information. Here's one a little higher up. It's a little question good for you. Now that medical gameplay comes with 315 and the beginning of Death of a Spaceman, do you think it was a good time to release while the game has so many bugs in it and chances to die due to these bugs? And how do you think this will affect the player's interest in the game?
I think I touched on this in one of the previous questions in terms of, these are large systems and complex systems, and we want to get them out in terms of the player experience. Obviously, we want to try and fix as many bugs as possible and make it as polished experience as we can. But obviously, when you're adding to a significant code base like Star Citizen, there's always going to be new bugs or old bugs that reappear. So we do have an initiative at CRG that's been in place for probably the last 2 years. So I guess
100 km približava se.
we've been
Oh, bit će dobro, bit će dobro.
time every quarter to fix bugs or technical debt, so we can go in and basically fix as many bugs. So that previously teams were essentially, if you look at the graph, it was just accumulating bugs every quarter, and we were like, that's not acceptable. We need to start putting them down. So now we're starting to see some teams come down, other teams are flatlining, so they're trying to add more time so they can fix more bugs. But fundamentally, it's always a balance. It's a balance of when do we release new features versus fixing bugs.
Gledaj, sad svi, give me money, give me money.
Like I touched on before, anytime that you add anything new,
Lik mi je otkazao Beacon, ali mi se pare vratile.
fixing bugs generates bugs. So it's just, there will always be fixing bugs until we get to content complete, and then we can go into a more
Kak žicaju.
release cycle. But for now, like I said, we got started alpha. We're still getting in some of the fundamental systems like inventory, like healing. And there'll be other big systems coming, like server meshing and anger management app and how you manage your ship loadout. So there's lots still to come.
A ovaj Coco Space Universe, jel? Taj lik je, ja njega vidim čovječe, on je vjerojatno prihvatio isto neku misiju.
Jealous.
And the pretty princess. Are there any super duper rare items in the loot boxes?
61k bounties.
I know there are things in loot boxes that you can't find in stores.
There are things in loot boxes that shouldn't be in loot boxes, as well as things in loot boxes that you can't find in stores. The loot boxes, right now, I don't think there is anything super duper rare, but this is just the T0 of loot boxes. The loot boxes generally, I think people haven't, I think when we did Evo, the people were getting squadron items and flares. The intention is that you should be able to find rarer things in the future. But in 3.15, this is about 3.15. I don't believe there's anything super duper rare.
Tu je na 72 km, lagano se približava.
Isuse Bože, čovjek je, znači, vani, pješke ide do nas.
Pa ne znam.
30 km mu, 5 minuta mu treba.
Nije, u brodu je, ali dosta sporo ide.
Uglavnom, znači, opet pusti ga posve dole, jer onda ne stigne naš, ne stigne pobjeći. Jer on dok onda izađe, to svaki ga od nas stigne opet po 3-4 put po godinu. Ili će se uništiti od zidove.
We want to encourage players to get out there and explore the universe and stuff like that. Part of how we do that is by putting things that can only be discovered.
Ko to gleda, čovječe, to je, ubi me.
Right now, I can't
Pojam.
tell you which is which. When you look at one of those super weird
Proxy, jel
things
nemaš
I can't tell you whether
headset,
that's an
šta to
intentional
radiš?
thing or whether that's a...
Ima, ma mikrofon mi je malo jak.
They're going through the list now and making sure that before we go to live 3.15, that it's all what should be in there.
You sure you won't kill me?
We've got a lot of items that just
Again.
make sure what should be in there are in there, and but I don't think there's anything ultra rare right now.
I think
E, čujem nešto.
Ne znam, ali to on ili...
Two-handed tractor beam is not supposed to
idem ja tu,
so I don't
idem ja tu stati, vi ga
Eto,
gađajte,
vidim ovaj svjetla, vidim svjetla.
vi ga gađajte, a ja ću tu stati. Ja ću mu biti
Ne.
mamac. Da,
Nemoj bit mamac, pa ulazi on svakako, čovječ, kakav mamac? Uće tu svaki lik. Makni se, čovječe, ne trebaš bit mamac, neće on on vidi bike, ne vidi on tebe. Vjerojatno čovjek misli si kao vid flora, špilja, nikad nisam bio ovdje, idem vidjeti šta ima.
Mhm.
15. You can't make rents. But the intention is that you will eventually be able to buy.
Nemoj se bojati, pa nema ništa u špilji.
Put stuff in and other people can share, and that will come with. First time we'll be able to do that with the cargo refactor.
Evo ga, krivi.
Be able to store things. Other people will be able to come and try and do that box.
Dva su. Jel to opet taj?
I just really see some players purposely loading their ships up with specific
fuck.
boxes.
Ovo je moj na 1900.
Ne, gađajte ga!
Ne vidim ga.
Kako ga ne vidiš, Bog te?
Ne vidim ga.
Zapio si zid, gađa. Gađaju zid se zabio.
Are there any short-term plans to add an option to save plans to finish it? Let's say in
To je
general,
zaka.
specifically,
Panika ljude, vata.
it
But,
does do
so there's no basically the way that they want to have trading between players is obviously going to be a different app. So there are some plans to
A rekao sam ti ja, čovječe. Panika ljude, vati. Koliko je daleko onaj tvoj Frox?
A, tu je na 500 metara.
Pa je to, opet, pa za nisi ime pratio.
Can you be
A
very
pisalo mi je na 2 km da je udaljen.
Pa to je onda on bio.
i.e. overhead compartments, cases, gun rack, touching this a little bit.
Ne, on vidi nekog da
Many
leti tu.
citizens seem to think that the current magic toy box
To je on
ship
bio je na... Viš da je sad je on na 500 km udaljen.
is placeholder. That's it.
Ne znam, ali on ili je...
Magic
Fuck,
bag
ne
of
znam.
holding, local
Kasnije ćemo ga
trade
moći
conversion,
lutat.
you just magically open and see
Ili ako je
items
pametan,
in an ethereal box or
iće
a
gol.
ethereal
Da li se
space
možeš odavde popet
is
jebote?
placeholder. Just gonna say
Da li je
Ne.
moguće izaći odavde na pješke?
magic
A?
Ne,
ship
ne,
is placeholder.
mislim da nije.
That will go. It's
A, ništa, tak ne pratim ovo, budem ugasi pa ću kasnije gledat.
O čem priča uopće?
A?
čem
A, od 3.15 inverter i tak to.
Ima nešto, vidim. Neko stiže. Jo,
To ću gledat
šta je ovo?
kasnije.
Ne, neko stiže, 4 km.
To je on, to je ovaj lik.
Kako? Pa ne mora tako brzo doći. Evo, ramp access.
Je,
Kilometar.
vidim, njegov imam ovaj... beacon.
Ok. Čekaj, ja se moram sakriti.
Svjetli.
Gdje je, ušao?
Da,
Još.
ulazi polagano, spušta se. Evo ga, spušta se.
Je, vidim ga, da.
Svjetla, a?
Da.
Evo ga, ide. Ide.
U Cutlass Red, ide jako polako. Boji se. Ok, znači opet ista taktika, mora doći do doma. Još. Ok. Ajmo
Rokam.
momci. Rokaj.
A, fuck, zbagao sam se.
Gađaj! No, pobjeće!
Evo, pobjegao je, ništa.
fuck?
Ok.
A jebi ga, neke dobiješ, neke ne.
Moram ići.
Morat će ja. Neće mi spremiti railgun sad. What the fuck.
See you never again, you prick. E, pa izgleda da ono, nismo ga...
You get me second time. What the fuck? Neće mi spremiti railgun.
Froxy, zašto ti ležiš?
Fakat?
Ja.
Di?
Ležiš, znači, glavom prema u zemlju.
Ne?
What the fuck?
Nešto se zbagalo.
Evo ga opet neko.
Nešto se zbagalo, ja ne mogu ovoga... Oružje si maknuti. Stalo mi u ruci.
Evo ga opet ovaj.
Evo ga. Ne, to je drugi lik, nije ovaj moj.
To je ono što smo ga već 2 puta. Jel možeš pucat po njemu?
Ne. Nemam zvuka, what the fuck.
Gledaj ga opet, panika ga vata. Jesi ga ti pogodio ili šta?
A? Da.
Ili si opet zabio on u zid?
Pogodio sam ga, ja sam ga pogodio.
Ja sam ga pogodio 3 puta, ali nisam više imao. Brate. A, predobro. Pusti, znači on misli znači da ova u Titanu njega ubija. Kao predobro čak. Dobro je Titan taj nije toliko tanky.
Da.
Pa ga nas dvica možemo piti, ne znam, 4 ili 5 metaka ti treba.
Mhm. Već koliko ovdje je dijelova od Titana. Biće fora kad Salvage dođe, jel? Pa će tu sad bit
Tu bi mi smećište napravili, jebote, ono,
Da.
do lupina.
Sam dođeš kasnije, onda sam kupiš.
Zorado, ja. Ovaj Mark, jebote, jel on to želi, znači, naše bounty ili šta? A, MJ King. Tanky jebeni Red Day.
Mhm.
A MJ King se zove taj, on vjerojatno ide po naše bounty ili nešto.
Da, vjerojatno.
Taj u Titanu, jel? Jer njega ne vidim.
Dobro, barem sam dobio nazad svoju migu. A, fuck.
Šta?
Napravio sam salto.
O, jadni ovaj MJ King. Čekaj, ovo ti uvijek panika, znači. Počne se zabija u zidove, ali to je, zato jest ova špilja opasna.
Da.
Jer većinu će ljudi, znači, uhvatit panika i onda oni još sami sebe ovaj damage rade. Evo te, da li je moguće gorse nekako popiti? Gle ovaj kamen, je li ovaj kamen bio ovdje prije?
Da.
Jes?
Da. Nešto mislim da će ići polagano.
Vidite mi ja. Onaj Titan nam je